Here we go with A Wall of Fire Rising by Danicat. Great story, easy to read. What happens? A guy attempts to fly a hot air balloon to escape his life, and he ends up committing suicide. Completely ironic. First of all, Guy is not your stable provider that he hoped he would be. In fact, he rarely gets work, and when he does, it's sporadic. Sometimes he's cleaning toilets. The sugar mill is kind of the centerpiece of the town. Now, Lily, his wife, is pretty supportive of this. In fact, she calls cleaning toilets an honest day's work. Every single day, she finds a way to feed the family, whether or not Guy has money. So she's definitely resilient. Now, they have a son named Little Guy, who is in a play, and he plays a guy named Bookman, who is a revolutionary. He's fighting in a rebellion. So we have education, which is a central theme that runs through it all. And then we have manual labor, which is another one. And these two kind of clash. The problem with Guy and Lily is, A, they have no intimacy. In fact, when she gets dressed, she turns away from him. Don't look at me. He doesn't really see her as a sexual object. Now, they have a son named Little Guy. The second problem is that she refuses to put him on the list to get a job at the sugar mill because she doesn't want to, quote, unquote, influence his destiny. This means she wants something more for him. She wants him to use his brains to get an education to better his life. Now, Big Guy is not really super supportive of this. He does help him with his lines here and there, but he's so self-absorbed in his own failures that he really doesn't get behind his son. In fact, he likes to run off and look at this hot air balloon. Now, in the end, he jumps out of the balloon and he kills himself, and she's kind of nonchalant about it. She doesn't break down and cry and scream. She just says, he loves to look at the sky. Let's keep his eyes open. That's my husband. He belongs to me. Thematic purpose, expectations of a man. He was not able to consistently bring home money for food. Therefore, he felt subsidiary. Selfish versus selfless. Some would call Guy selfish because he was focusing on his dream of escape. He wanted to run away from his life and start a new life. But really, where was he going? Okay, you get in the hot air balloon, you fly away. Well, guess what? It's going to land somewhere. Then what are you going to do? You still have to find a job. You still have to find food. He didn't want to bring his family. Very selfish. Now, selflessness would mean, here's my son. I'll do everything I can to feed him, and hopefully his life will turn out better. I will push him to new heights. Importance of education. We have education versus manual labor. The manual labor in this story was very sporadic. Point of view, this is third person. The basic conflict is that Guy is unable to match society's expectations of man as the head of the household. And it bothers him to no end. The protagonist-antagonist. It seems as though Guy would be the protagonist. The story kind of centers around him, but nobody's really antagonizing him. You could call him the hero if you wanted and say, oh, he was in a loveless relationship. His wife didn't really care for him. You could say that he was the antagonist, because all he cared about was his own freedom. He just wanted to run away from his life, and he wasn't concerned with his wife or his child. The biggest symbol here is the hot air balloon. It represents freedom for Guy. Now, what happens in the end is when he finally gets on the hot air balloon and he gets up into the air, it probably dawned on him that this is as good as it's going to get. Yes, I can float away and land somewhere, but my life will still be the same. That's when he decided to jump and just end it all. He had his brief moment of freedom, his exhilaration, and then he went ahead and committed suicide, which is completely ironic